Thanks for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Emily.
And we're passionate about holistic wellness that real people with real lives can achieve.
We see you out there striving for perfection, but we want you to know that good enough can be good enough.
Before we get started, everything we talk about in this show is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Always talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, medication, or supplements. You're listening to episode 42, In Defense of Dairy. In this episode, we are going to defend dairy and its consumption.
So, Kayla, what are you nerding out about this week?
Here's my disclaimer for the next
four
episodes. Every week, what I'm nerding out about is going to be dairy because, surprise, we're doing a dairy series for the lead up into the month of June, which is National Dairy Month. And so we're just going to give you all the dairy content that your heart could ever desire. And so that's what I'm going to be nerding out about for about 4 weeks here.
Yeah, and there's a lot to it, so you will not be bored.
Yeah. So, Emily, what about you?
Yeah, so I really haven't been nerding out about much either. I'm going to be very candid and say I've been very sad lately. And like nothing's happened. There's no disasters. Everything's fine. It's just me. And I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about what I do when I'm sad, because I assume this is probably a pretty normal human experience, that sometimes you are just sad for no reason. So I wanted to kind of go through some of the stuff that I do when I am sad. And I want to start by saying, first of all, I always wait way too long to do anything about it. I always think it's like, I'm not slept enough, or like all these things, like it'll be fine tomorrow, until finally it's like really not fine. And I always wait way too long to tell anybody, and I wait way too long to tell my husband. Until it's like really a problem. So don't be like me. Tell somebody sooner. Phone a friend. But one of the first things that I do when I realize like, oh, this is a problem, this is not going to just go away by itself this time, is I back off of social media. And it's not even a like, oh, I'm sad because I'm like comparing myself. It's not that. We've talked a lot about how your brain really needs boredom to process things in general. And I think that includes emotions. So I back off of social media to give my brain a break. So I'm not just like constantly input, because I can do that if I'm not careful. I find other sources of dopamine. So I make my favorite food, which also includes, I will increase my calories usually, because I think oftentimes when I kind of get the sads, it's because I'm not eating enough. I think that's really common for me in particular. And then of course I always look and I take some supportive supplements like magnesium. I have my pickleball here today, which is like an adrenal cocktail type situation. I sleep. I make sure I get to bed. I'm not staying up, especially on my phone, especially that. I let myself sleep in if I need to. I clean my house because a lot of times the clutter leads to brain clutter and I cannot function. So I let maybe this isn't healthy, but I let my emotions fuel my rage cleaning. And a good old rage clean, nothing works like that. And of course I say how I'm feeling out loud, either to a friend or my husband. In this case, I went to our group chat and I was just like, you guys, I'm feeling really sad. And I've been really sad for a few weeks, and everybody kind of gather around for like a group hug. And it's like, are we problem solving, or like, are you okay? Kind of hashing things out a little bit. And then this time in particular, and it's going to be on my like permanent I'm feeling sad list, is I put on the Ren Collective, and they've got tons of music, so you won't get bored. But they're known as like the joy band. Like their whole shtick is like, there is joy to be found. And I kind of just told myself that like, it's okay to feel this way. We're going to feel this way, and then we're going to come out the other side and we're going to find the joy in it. So this is me saying, I haven't really been nerding out. I've been kind of sad, but we're going to get to the other side of it. And if you're feeling sad too, I hear you. I feel you. We're going to come out the other side. It's going to be okay.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know it was hard.
It is hard.
And I think this will be really helpful for a lot of people, including myself. I have sad days a lot, and
yeah, I hope
nice
so.
to have
Yeah, I hope everybody remembers that,
list.
like just because you're quote into wellness, because you like have it quote figured out, like you're still human. You're still gonna have these fluctuations, things that are out of your control, things that are in your control that you kind of slipped up on, like whatever. It's okay. Like it doesn't make you a failure as like a wellness person.
Mm-hmm. And I think like for me, a lot of times like my sadness can come from like grieving something and not grieving a person necessarily, but like grieving the passing of a season or an opportunity that's changed or like anything really. Like I grieve a lot of change. Like that's just how I am. And if there's been a big change of some kind or even a small change or just like a realization of a change, I can get really sad. And
I wonder how often that's the case for me, and I just don't realize that's why I'm feeling that way.
Hard to name it sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey there, Goopers. Yeah, Goopers. You know, you guys who listen to the Good Enough Wellness podcast, that's your name now. Get used to it. Are you craving a healthier, more balanced life, but you're not sure where to start? Or maybe you've tried all the tips and tricks that seem impossible to keep up with because, well, you've got a real life. Sound familiar? Here's some good news. We've got something just for you. Our free Patreon community is all about holistic wellness that works for real people just like you. Whether you're juggling a busy schedule, navigating health challenges, or just curious about improving your digestion, sleep, or energy levels, we're here to help you thrive without the overwhelm. Inside, you'll find show notes, downloads, worksheets, and exclusive recordings to help you get started. Plus, it's not just about advice, it's about connection. You'll join a supportive group of people on the same journey, cheering each other on and sharing ideas that actually work. The best part? It's totally free to join. So why not take the first step today? Head over to patreon.com/goodenoughwellnesspodcast and join the community where wellness meets real life. Let's grow together. You've got this.
So we're kicking off the month before Dairy Month because we're tired and we need a break. We decided we didn't want to go through June. But June is National Dairy Month. It's a really big deal for us because we really, really love dairy. We love cows in particular. So we wanted to spend literally all of May giving you all of the dairy content. We're super excited about it. So today we're going to talk about In Defense of Dairy. Dairy's been under attack for a while for some valid reasons and some very, very not valid reasons. So we really wanted to go into that today. Dairy is near and dear to both of our hearts. I grew up around cows and on a dairy farm, and I still really love dairy. I'm the person who goes like, look, babe, cows when we drive past cows.
Yeah.
I really love cows. And you married a dairy farmer.
Yeah,
which
I married into dairy farming.
Yeah, which is, who knew? Like that would be our outcome in life.
Yeah.
So what a cool like switcheroo we did. So we got lots of cool facts for you to hopefully if you're somebody who's come from like, what would you say? That's like 2010 chic of like everyone went dairy free.
Yeah.
Let's do a little
milk craze.
Yeah, we're gonna hold your hand and we're gonna do some healing together. So Kayla really took the reins with this one, and I can't wait to get into it because guys, when she said she nerded out hard.
I'm telling you, I just love a deep dive. I just
really
do. So let's just start with this fact, because I feel like the thing that people always say when they're like, oh, you shouldn't be drinking dairy because humans don't drink milk from other animals. Like
we're
that's
the
always,
only species that drinks another species' milk as adults.
Right. And I mean, I have more to say about that specific thing, but let's just sit on this fact. Humans have been drinking milk for a very long time. And I know that like the research that we find is based off of old Earth theories.
Sure.
So it's like if you have a different belief about the age of the Earth, just
adjust accordingly.
Yeah, change the ratio, I guess. But articles that I was finding suggest 8,000 to 10,000 years ago, humans started consuming the milk of other mammals. That's a really long time. That means that we have adapted to be able to consume this. It's not like the frankenfoods that we've been eating for the past 80 years that are definitely 100% safe according to Google, but somehow dairy isn't, that we've been consuming for 10,000 years.
Yeah.
Because we're not supposed to be drinking that. The human body is not designed to drink milk, but, you know, we're going to eat a frankenfood.
What a scam.
It just doesn't make any sense. So that's the first fact that you can think about, I guess, when we're talking about this whole topic.
This makes me realize that the consumption of dairy is actually has been around longer than broccoli has existed.
Correct.
Yeah.
The superfood.
Yes.
The quote-unquote superfood, when we know that dairy is the real superfood.
Dairy and liver, baby.
So I have a couple of quotes here straight from the Raw Milk Institute. So in case you can't tell from their name, you know, they're big proponents of raw milk. But
Yeah.
But I did find other research from other places that backed this up. This just was like
They probably made it more concise.
Yeah, a concise quote I could find. And it says, humans who first began to consume milk from other mammals had not yet developed the lactase persistence gene. Nonetheless, they likely would have been able to readily digest raw milk because it facilitates the production of lactase enzyme in the intestinal tract. Archaeological evidence shows that humans were consuming raw milk for thousands of years before the widespread appearance of the lactase persistence gene. This has led many researchers to the probably erroneous conclusion that Neolithic humans must have been fermenting or culturing milk to reduce or remove its lactose content. So,
Wow.
yes.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, so what they're saying is back when humans first began to consume milk, we didn't have the lactase persistence gene, which I didn't actually realize was a thing. I didn't realize that there was like an actual genetic component to the ability to tolerate lactose.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool in and of itself. And then the conclusion that most researchers are drawing is that they must have been like fermenting or culturing milk to reduce or remove its lactose content. But raw milk contains an enzyme that helps you digest lactose. That's why a lot of people who switch to raw milk can suddenly tolerate it, is because it still contains the enzyme that helps them digest it. And so this next quote kind of explains that a little bit further. It says, in reality, lactose intolerance is primarily pasteurization intolerance. Since raw milk facilitates the production of lactase, it is not likely that there were widespread issues with lactose intolerance in Neolithic populations. In all likelihood, these early populations would have been able to consume milk in its fresh form, straight from the mammals, as well as in the lacto-fermented curds and whey, which would form quickly without refrigeration.
Yeah.
So, yes, they probably did consume a lot of fermented or cultured milk just because they had no way of keeping the milk fresh. So, naturally, it would have fermented or cultured,
Right.
and then they would have consumed both forms.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, they're not going to be able to keep it fresh for long. So
Right.
the amount that you would be consuming fresh would be only a portion of like the total dairy that you're consuming.
So they likely were consuming consuming a lot of things like kefir, yogurt, even
Or just like
butters,
a clabber, like
a clabber,
yeah.
Curds and whey.
Mm-hmm.
You think about little Miss Moffat sat
Yeah.
on her
Tough it.
tuffet eating her curds and whey.
Yeah.
That was just cultured milk.
Yeah, it's just
fermented
clabber.
milk.
Very cool.
So that's just kind of a brief history of the length of time that humans have been consuming milk, and then the forms and how we have evolved to consume milk. And then we're just going to jump right into like why we think dairy is a superfood.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite.
I was going to say, this is something actually I remember from Emily's Dairy Princess days. Like, I don't know why this sticks in my head so much
Yeah.
about all the vitamins and minerals that milk has.
I think I know why, because oh boy, this is history chat time. So I competed for our county Dairy Princess back in the day, and I part of that contest is you have to come up with like a skit to promote dairy.
That's what I remember.
And my skit was I was like a mad scientist, like a mathematician, and I was like solving the equation of like, I don't know what my point was, why why milk was like the best thing ever. And yeah, so I had like these equations I was doing, and I had like all these facts about like how much B vitamins and like all these different things that were in it. That's probably why you remember it. And I'm glad that's memorable to you. I think I blocked it out of my memory, if I'm being honest.
It just really sticks in my head. It's always riboflavin. And
riboflavin.
I think it's just because it's a fun word.
It's my favorite, yes.
It just sticks in my head. So let's just talk about the components of milk that make it amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is the ratio between carbs, fat, and protein. This is something that was drawn to my attention with the pro-metabolic movement because they love raw milk.
They do love raw milk.
And they always call it the perfect food because it's like the perfect ratio between carbs, fat, and protein. So, and what they mean by that is it has double the amount of carbs as it does protein, and that's typically what we look for in a meal.
Mm-hmm.
Is we're looking for a certain amount of grams of protein, double that amount of carbs, and then a little bit of fat to go with it. And that's just how milk is constituted. It's twice the amount of carbs as there is protein and a little bit of fat.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool in and of itself. It makes for a great snack because it's already well balanced. You don't have to think about like, oh, what protein am I going to have with this?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, what carb am I going to have with this protein? Or, oh, there's no fat. Like, you just drink a glass of milk and whole milk.
Yeah.
And
yes,
it has all of the components that you would need.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into vitamins and minerals, lots of B vitamins, like we talked about with the riboflavin.
I forget about this all the time, that it's such a good source of B12, especially.
Yes, it's very high in B12. In the one article that I found, it said foods of animal origin are the only rich sources of this essential vitamin. And I was like, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So riboflavin, which is also a B vitamin. And then it also has the rest of the B vitamins.
Yeah.
Just those two are the highest.
Riboflavin is B2, by the way.
Yes. Calcium is one of the best dietary sources of milk is one of the best dietary sources of calcium. And the calcium that's found in milk is easily absorbed and digested.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing. Phosphorus is found in dairy, and it's a mineral that plays an essential role in many biological processes. If you look at an HTMA, phosphorus is one of the minerals that it measures, and it helps you see what nervous system state you're mostly residing in. So like calcium is your parasympathetic, phosphorus is your sympathetic. So if your calcium is really high compared to your phosphorus, then you're most likely stuck in rest and digest, or like freeze. And then if phosphorus is high, this is going off the rails really fast. If phosphorus is high compared to calcium, then that's your sympathetic nervous state, and that's when you're stuck in like fight or flight.
Right.
That kind of state.
So milk, good for your nervous system.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
Yes, because it has calcium and phosphorus.
Right.
So it supports
In a good balance.
Yeah, that nervous system balance. Also really high in potassium. I did not expect that.
I knew this actually because not that long ago I was on a big like, how can I ditch more supplements? I don't want to take very many. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I just drink, I forget how much it was, but
a
like
gallon of
it wasn't though. It was like
yeah, it's
maybe
not
a quart,
much.
which probably sounds like a lot to some people, but to
That's 2 glasses of milk.
I know,
about.
not
Or
really
big glasses.
Yeah, but like you have like a nice coffee and then you have some oatmeal with it. Like it adds
Yes.
up throughout
Yeah.
the day. And I was like, I could literally replace one like adrenal cocktail
With a glass of milk.
with just milk.
Yeah. And you're getting
all of the other things.
all of the other things.
Yep.
Iodine is a huge one. I was thinking so much about this when I was putting this script together. Like I just wrote iodine in the bullet point, and then I just sat there for like 10 minutes because I was just like thinking about how incredible it is that, in our opinion, God provided a source of iodine that landlocked people would not normally be able to get to.
Yes.
Because iodine is super rich in a lot of sea vegetables, animals.
Yeah.
So it's
usually think
usually
like seaweed,
Yes.
kelp, that sort of
and
thing.
even like seafood
sure.
is really high in
Well,
iodine.
because they're eating those things.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really incredible that God really was like, we'll give them something that has iodine and like can live in a landlocked place where I would not be able to get to any seaweed if I didn't have
A
planes,
grocery
trains,
store.
and cars. you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's iodine is hard to come by, and it's so cool that milk cows, like
Yeah.
cows are just over here making it for free.
yes, and we're like, not good enough. We're gonna milk some almonds
What
instead.
are we doing?
And then here's another interesting component of
Oh.
milk that I actually, in one of our What Are You Nerding Out About corners a few weeks ago, I talked about this. It's called milk fat globule membrane, and I'm just going to read the quick Wikipedia summary. It's a complex and unique structure composed primarily of lipids and proteins that surrounds milk fat globule secreted from the milk-producing cells of humans and other animals, or other mammals. So it does exist in like human breast milk as well.
Sure.
It is a source of multiple bioactive compounds, including phospholipids, glycolipids, glycoproteins, and carbohydrates that have important functional roles within the brain and gut. Preclinical studies have demonstrated effects of MFGM-derived bioactive components on brain structure and function, intestinal development, and immune defense. Similarly, pediatric clinical trials have reported beneficial effects on cognitive and immune outcomes. In populations ranging from premature infants to preschool-aged children, dietary supplementation with MFGM or its components have been associated with improvements in cognition and behavior, gut and oral bacteria composition, fever incidence, and infectious outcomes, including diarrhea and otitis media. I actually don't know what that is. MFGM may also play a role in supporting cardiovascular health by modulating cholesterol and fat uptake. Clinical trials in adult populations have shown that MFGM could positively affect markers associated with cardiovascular disease, including lowering serum cholesterol and triacylglycerol levels, as well as blood pressure.
So I just heard that milk is also heart healthy.
Yes, because so like a lot of people will say the saturated fat content in milk is what makes it bad for you. That's why you drink 2% milk. But the milk fat globule membrane that exists in milk fat modulates the cholesterol and fat uptake. So any cholesterol and fat that is found in milk fat is being modulated by this membrane anyway.
Right.
So it's like a self-regulating mechanism.
Yeah.
And I just had this thought. That's why there was a little bit of a pause there, because I had a little bing while I was talking.
Light bulb.
But I don't know how homogenization would affect that mechanism.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, I might have to do a little bit more deep diving on dairy. Surprise. But I just, I don't know how homogenization would affect that.
Right. At a cellular level.
Right. That's an interesting thought.
That is an interesting thought. Huh.
And now we're going to come back around to the argument that humans are the only animal that consumes the milk of other animals into adulthood. And I'm just here to say that that's just kind of a dumb argument, because we're also the only species to wear clothes, build houses, cook food,
Fire.
have fire, create messes for ourselves, have politics. I mean, I guess other animals have politics.
I
But
say that feels like a bad example because we could do without those.
there's a lot of things that we're the only species that does things.
Yeah.
And picking on milk is just kind of, it just seems pointed.
Yeah.
You have it out for milk.
It's very selective for sure.
Yeah. And also, given the opportunity, lots of other animals will consume milk.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I always think of the classic picture of the farmer squirting milk into the cat's mouth.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
But if you have a bucket of milk sitting out, chickens will drink it.
Mm-hmm.
Cats will drink
Pigs
it.
love
Dogs
it.
will drink it. Pigs love it.
Mm-hmm.
Other animals, given the opportunity, will drink milk. They know that it is good.
They just lack opposable thumbs.
Right. It would be really funny to see another animal milking an animal.
Honestly, that sounds like a cursed image. I don't think I'd like it.
Probably.
I think I'd be very uncomfy.
Also, like, you always hear the stories of like the mama pig that nursed the tiger cub.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it's cross species,
yeah,
and we aren't like, ew, that's disgusting. Take that tiger cub away.
that'd be terrible. Yeah,
No, we're like, oh, that's so sweet. That mama
love
animal.
transcends all.
Right.
Yes.
But somehow when we drink milk, it's disgusting.
Make it make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So milk sounds amazing. I know I'm craving it right now, but just because we know about what a superfood it is and we have that knowledge doesn't mean that our bodies can automatically like be chill with it, because there's lots of people who would love to consume dairy and they just can't for various reasons. So like, what is your advice to them? What direction do we push them towards to like maybe be able to do that someday?
Right. I think that's a really important question to ask. And I think it's important to remember that this goes for all foods.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of foods that a lot of people would consider to be super healthy. Cruciferous vegetables come to mind immediately that a lot of people actually can't handle and can't digest very well.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make the food itself bad. It just means that maybe our digestive systems need a little bit of love, and we need to make the adjustment. We talked a little bit before about how raw milk has the lactase-producing enzyme that helps us digest the lactose found in milk. So if you are having trouble digesting milk, it might be that you could try raw milk and see if that helps.
Yeah.
You can also try A2 milk. So this is another little nerdy thing. There's 2 different proteins that can be found in dairy, and it's their A1 protein and an A2 protein. This is an extremely simplified version. And most heritage animals, so goats, sheep, camels, older breeds of cows, were all A2 producing animals. And humans, I believe, are also A2 protein.
Yes, I believe so. And I think that's across the board. All
Yes.
humans are A2.
Yes. When we started mass producing milk, they started breeding cows to be like high producers. And in so doing, most of those high producers, so typically like Holsteins, tend to now produce A1 milk. And since our bodies are not adapted to A1 milk, we tend not to tolerate A1 milk very well. So you can try an A2 milk. That can help. If you're still trying milk or dairy products and you're finding that it's still not working, try taking it out for a long time, or not a long time, a little bit, maybe 8 weeks or so, and do some really intentional gut healing stuff. This could help with like other food intolerances as well.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking seal and heal the gut lining, a lot of like bone broth, okra.
Anything that's slimy.
Yes. I'm trying to think of the word that they use for that,
Oh,
but I can't come up with it. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, it's like anything that's slimy. So like I said, okra, marshmallow, aloe. There's like
Gelatin.
yeah, there's a ton
collagen.
of guides out there on these kinds of things, but
Yeah.
removing difficult to digest foods, introducing a lot of healing and sealing gut foods, even fermented foods can really help because it'll help your good bacteria proliferate, so that way it does have the ability to digest. Working on things like stomach acid production can really help, and then reintroducing it in small amounts.
Mm-hmm.
I stress this a lot with people who are trying raw milk for the first time. Don't sit down with a gigantic glass of milk your first time.
Yeah.
Start with just a little bit and then work yourself up, because raw milk does contain bacteria. And I know people like bacteria, but it's just how raw foods work.
Yeah.
It also has a lot of other great stuff, just like any other food. But our bodies might not be used to that kind of bacteria, and so it needs a chance to get introduced to it, and the gut needs a chance to build up a tolerance for it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's that enzyme. It does exist in there, but like it's not like your body still has to like build up that enzyme too.
Yeah.
It's not just like an all-in-one package of like the enzyme and the milk at one time.
Yes.
Your body actually like builds up the enzyme also,
Right.
to be able to digest it. And of course, all of those things that we're talking about, like intolerances or it makes my stomach hurt. We're not talking about allergies. If you have an allergy,
yeah.
like, no, that's not for you. We'll find other things.
Yes. Yeah. If you have an actual true allergy, I mean, there are people out there who claim that you can heal your allergies, and good for them. I'm not going to recommend that.
It's not something we have experience with.
Right. That's not something I'm comfortable like messing around with, because I would hate to see anyone get hurt.
Yes.
And there are other options, like dairy-free options, if you are truly allergic to dairy.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is coconut milk.
Yeah.
It's pretty similar, I would say.
Yeah. So that's just like a really honestly brief for us synopsis of like why we love dairy, why we think dairy has a place in our modern day diets. And we talked a lot, like kind of briefly about raw milk, and have no fear, we have a raw milk episode coming next week. We're really excited about that one. It's about to get kind of nitty gritty, and I hope you come into it really curious and without preconceived ideas. And we really want to, you know how I usually do a history deep dive? Well, Kayla's about to do a history deep dive.
I did think about that the whole time. I was like, it feels like I'm stealing Emily's thing right now.
We're super excited, and I hope you guys join us and let us know, and go onto Patreon. Let's start a conversation. We want to know what you can go all the way about telling us your like history with dairy, or you can just tell us like what your favorite dairy product is or how your favorite way to consume it is. And we'll catch you next time.
Hey there, friends. Are you feeling stuck or overwhelmed on your health journey? Maybe you've got questions about digestion, supplements, or just how to take that next small step toward feeling better. Well, I've got something exciting just for you. Office Hours. Every Tuesday, I'm hosting 2 live video chat sessions where we can connect one-on-one. This is your chance to ask questions, get guidance, or simply chat about how to make progress on your health journey. Whether it's understanding your supplements, tackling digestion challenges, or figuring out how food and lifestyle can support you, I'm here to help. Now, here's the fun part. While the links to join Office Hours are available to everybody, my email subscribers get so much more. By joining my email list, you'll not only stay updated on Office Hours reminders, but also get access to exclusive tips, resources, and inspiration to help you feel your best. Head over to the show notes for this episode and sign up for my email list today. I can't wait to see you during Office Hours and help you take your next steps with confidence and clarity. Let's do this together.
So Kayla, what's good this week?
So this week, my husband had the opportunity to run production for a concert that was held locally to us, and we haven't done that in a really long time, and it was actually really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is how Garrett and I met, and it was the primary focus of our lives for about the first 7 years of our marriage, I think, probably closer to 8 years of our marriage. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we were there too. It was a lot of fun. That we didn't meet there, but like we spent a lot of time concert hopping with you guys for, all the time we were dating and newly married, and even like with toddlers and stuff. And I was having some weird like nostalgic.
Yeah.
You know, Matt's over there headbanging. I'm just like, I'm watching my kids like really come alive with this, like,
Yeah.
you know, they've listened to a lot of different music, but it's a totally different Animal Live. And some of it was like metal, and that was kind of a new thing for them. And I was like, I hope Uncle Garrett's paying attention. Maybe he'll put on some shows for you guys again. Very cool.
I asked your one son who was at the last concert we went to, and I said, "Are you going to go up front again?" And he said, "No way. It was way too loud last time." And I said, "Oh, okay." Within about 10 minutes, he was in the front row, and I didn't see him again until the show was over.
He stayed there the entire time.
I was like, oh, I see how long that lasted.
He had the best time.
He did. So, Emily, what about you?
So I guess what's good this week is that I was sad, but I'm starting to not be sad, and that's a good thing.
Always a good thing.
Thank you for listening to the Good Enough Wellness Podcast.
To learn more about my one-on-one packages, join my mailing list and follow me on Instagram at Kayla King Wellness.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Good Enough Wellness podcast feed wherever you listen to podcasts. You don't want to miss an episode.
Follow us on Instagram at Good Enough Wellness Podcast to learn about upcoming episodes and join our free Patreon to interact with the Good Enough community.
The Good Enough Wellness Podcast, because good enough can be good enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Me too.